is Marlen's Resonances, and we are on within the evening of her departure. That will be tomorrow. So we're going to be walking through some general practical self-assistance, self-support points in terms of walking and living as you're and will be facing the world.
Yes.
So as we're continuing, if you have any questions or anything is unclear, simply ask.
Okay, cool.
And we'll clarify. So let us start with a platform. What is imperative, especially when walking in this world, is having a self point. What does that mean? You require a point within yourself where you can always, so to speak, return to, no matter what you're facing within your reality. Meaning where you yourself becomes the point you turn to, so to speak, whenever facing a difficult or complex situation or experience. Why is that imperative? So that as to ensure that self stand within self absolutely, as to not have any back doors or exit points in terms of reasons and justifications to divide self into a point of separation from self and self's reality through going into mind and emotion, which only perpetuate and compound the whole situation and experience, leading to the inevitable consequence of falling, from there having to regain composure, standing up again, which then becomes even more and more difficult because you're now faced with another layer and another extent of experience in relation to where and who and how self is. Now we're going to discuss this self point, this self stand in relation to the following words: relationships, commitment, direction, standing, perseverance, expression and enjoyment, and focus.
Cool.
Within that, and have a look at the remembrance of walking breath, self-honesty, and writing, which is the platform of the platform that we're going to be discussing. So you've got your primary platform which you walk in relation to breath, self-honesty, and writing. Wherein through that you live your self-corrective application. That's your primary platform. That's the platform that you stand and live within constancy and consistency. It is whenever anything else within your reality fails or falls or gets to a point where you experience yourself drowning within it all, so to speak. What do you know? You've got breath.
Yeah.
That is if, so to speak, your self-platform kind of collapses, breaks down, falls. You know, you've got your primary platform, which is breath. That is here. And then within that, you just stand up again through your self-honesty, your writing. Just slowly but surely emerge yourself from whatever your experience is. You establish yourself again back to your self-platform. And then you continue walking. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So whenever you're faced with your experiences within reality, always take yourself back to yourself, so to speak. The point of self here, where you stand. Therefore, in relation to the discussions, what we're going to be having is with this self-stand becomes absolute. Meaning where you can be a constant force that walks, that directs, where you become untouchable in a way. But that is an inevitability within your discipline, within walking your self-platform, establishing yourself, within yourself, in your physical reality, and who you are, how you walk through things, how you handle things, how you direct things. Now remember, in terms of your experiences what you require then focusing on is assisting and supporting yourself in establishing the self-platform of you. Okay, so it's going to take some time, as with all things in reality, in the space-time existence. You walk it step by step, moment by moment. So even if you take 1 point, 3 points, 4 points at a time, depending on where and how you are in your world, what is relevant, what seems to be coming forth into your existence, you can basically assess from that and see what you can use from your experiences to assist and support yourself with. But also always remember that we're here as well. So in applying this that we're discussing here, in walking and living this that we're discussing here, and you still find yourself not finding a point of clarity, stability, or silence within yourself from which you can stand and direct yourself, ask.
Okay.
Okay? Got that tendency of,
When to solve it myself.
yes, I'm going to do this myself.
Yes, I know.
In reality, in the matrix, you don't want to take those chances. Okay? Yes, it's cool if you find a point and you live to resolve it within your standing and application, but even if you live in absolute accordance to what you understand and what you have assisted and supported yourself with, and still everything feels like it's collapsing and not working out, and obviously you're missing a point that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
Therefore you require assistance and support. Remember, that is a fundamental point within process, is assisting and supporting ourselves and assisting and supporting each other.
Yeah.
So within a context, yes, we're walking our process alone from the perspective of self-honesty, yet in terms of walking a process, there are those, and may have been those that have been in similar situations such as yourself, that has already walked through it, and they've seen a point that you're not seeing, for example. So instead of, to put it bluntly, wasting your own time in terms of trying to resolve it by yourself,
Yeah.
rather ask and learn. It's the fastest way you move.
Yeah.
Therefore, utilize your resources that is available to you in gratefulness, and recognize within that gratefulness that there has been others that have gone through that experience, and they can share that point and contribute to their process and others' processes, which might be a point for them in terms of a fulfillment within their experience.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So
Yeah,
it's a complete interaction. So be watchful of the point of isolation and realize that it's in essence a point of self-interest, of trying to live within that statement of, I'm going to do this by myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So you understand the principle of that.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So let's move on to the first word, relationships. Okay. So what is the reality in which we exist at this current moment? Is a reality of people. Lots of human beings in this reality together. Within that, there are specific groups of human beings within specific areas situated within this world. You're going to be allocated within one of those groups, in one of those countries, with lots of various different people. Okay, so the network of reality is formed and manifested by and through human beings. Therefore, in terms of establishing yourself in reality, what is important is your relationships, who you are within that relationships, what your relationship consists of and exists as, and how that and those relationships support you and you support them. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Therefore, your first step in terms of establishing your platform or network of support, so to speak, in reality, is establishing your platform and network of relationships. Okay? The context of those relationships must be taken into consideration of support. Meaning, are the relationships that you have formed supporting you, and are you supporting them from the perspective of self-honesty?
Okay.
Are you standing directive within your reality from get-go in terms of what you will accept and allow and what you will not accept and allow? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Meaning, we're not saying shun everyone in your reality from a perspective of separation and superiority, inferiority, ego status. It's just a point of principle that you're walking within who you are. You make yourself clear, meaning within what you stand as, what you stand for, what you will accept and allow and what not. Therefore, you'll have some relationship ties that will be more intimate from the perspective of, I'm not yet talking about physical relationships, I'm only talking about general relationships.
Yeah.
Some general relationships will be more intimate. We will be starting to communicate to beings more openly about yourself, them to you, in relation to an actual equal one support stand. Of course, you'll have some in those realities that have and are still going through processes that you've gone through, for example. Yeah. However, what you have to assess in self-honesty is in terms of, are you able to, within your current position, support that being? Meaning, still allow them in your reality, but be able to direct accordingly within each moment of participation with them. Meaning, they don't influence you. You direct yourself in your reality.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Your example.
Let's take one. Yeah.
Okay, so what is your most prominent point you have worked through is weed.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, allow being in your reality that is still using weed.
Yes.
How do you approach that? You have to make the decision within yourself in terms of, can you stand with that person within your reality without that person influencing you with any regard at all. However, it would be cool from a perspective of standing and seeing, are there still any wants, needs, desires, suppressions, things like that emerging. But I mean, within your situation, you've already quite worked through and stood through weed.
Yeah.
Evidently, specifically and precisely. So, I mean, you've made a decision, you've lived by that decision, and you stand by that decision.
Yeah.
Now, within allowing, for example, a person with weed and, for example, communicating your experiences with it, and you're just seeing all that person is doing within your reality is simply literally wasting their time and your time, then of course there's no support, there's no substance, there's no relevance to that person being in your reality.
Yeah.
So you simply make your decision and say, listen, I suggest if you want to have your weed, go enjoy a life with weed, but I'm building a life of and with myself in relation to equality and oneness, a basic principle, living principle for all. I've got quite a process to walk. I'm here for this, as this, and therefore in terms of my point of what I'm walking, I'm assisting and supporting me, and here to assist and support those who are willing to assist and support themselves, for example.
Yeah, quite clear.
Therefore,
yeah, like there's no point really.
No, do you see that?
Yeah.
So basically walk within that principle, that point within yourself and all your relationships, meaning, is there a point for yourself and the other? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Is there a point where you can stand and assist and support them? If you can't yet, and for a moment you can let them go, focus on a specific point that you've got to do, for example, studying or finishing your studies or things like that. And then again you can reapproach the point. Maybe the point will come again with a different type of being, but then you'll be in a position to stand and walk.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not about this way or that way. It's simply a decision you have to make.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, we're not saying it's about allowing them or not allowing them. It's simply about who you decide to be and what you decide to do. But always remain within that self-honest.
Yeah.
With you. So I mean, enjoy people and things like that, and go out and have fun, participate. That's very important, because how are relationships strengthened? Through participation.
Yeah.
There's never a judgment upon participating in anything or with anything, meaning going to functions or gatherings or movies or going to various places and just sitting and chatting or spending time with people,
Yeah.
You do that in terms of getting to know others. I mean, from that perspective, it becomes very fascinating in terms of participating with people, and within that participating, getting to know how and who they are, become an observer as a participant.
Yeah, I see.
See that? Within that, you always constantly self-reflect, meaning you can become specific about any changes that comes up within you. Are you changing because of the environment? Is there a change in feeling or experience? Why is this happening? What is invoking it? What type of person is causing this experience within me? You start assessing people. Why? Because you're going to be working with people a lot in your life.
Yeah.
Therefore, the best way to get to know a person that's not from a knowledge, information base, but an actual experience is through participation.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you want to really lock yourself into the network of relationships and people and participation within that. It's like viewing people or each person as like a foreign country with a foreign culture and a foreign language, and you are now participating in getting to know who and how they are, how they operate, how they function, and who you are in relation to that. So, for example, in your stages of studying, you can start doing this. In that, getting to know people, participate, decide who you want to allow in your world, who not. But always keep it in line and in focus with your inevitable outcome within the position that you want to be standing later on in your life.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to assist and support a totality of human beings.
Yeah.
But you will realize then within that you'll be able to do that with an actual understanding, based on actual experience, based on actual reality.
Yeah, I see completely.
You've walked with the people, so to speak.
Yeah, like you know what you're dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Within this process, especially when you're starting to do this point of analysis and self-reflection, maybe in the beginning you will only focus on 2 or 3 people during an experience of participation. Maybe write down when you can during the week or something, when you have a moment, even if it is only for half an hour a day, write about your experiences, about your world, what you're seeing, what you're observing, especially your focus on people and who you were in relation to those people. Have you experienced a change? Was there a movement that came up inside you? What was that? Was it the way the person was speaking, moving, all aspects?
Cool. Yeah.
Very clear. Stick with your writing. Your writing is the one point that has brought you to this application of stability that you're already standing inside within yourself.
Definitely.
And have a look how writing has also spruced up, so to speak, your ability to look at things within yourself at a very commonsensical, structured way, wherein there isn't as much emotion involved because you're just seeing the common sense of a point.
Yeah.
Of course, there is still reactions that come up. However, if you have a look, it's not like you're going into them and completely being submerged inside them for a long period of time. It is simply a momentary experience as you're working through something inside yourself commonsensically.
Yeah.
That's what writing assists and support with. Writing assists and support with establishing a point within yourself where you stand and can look at things in a sense objectively, yet within that objectivity still remain as part of it at the same time.
In the subject of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're clear on a few points with regards to your interactions and participation with people.
Yeah.
In general. Okay, relationships we'll get to as a last point, meaning physical relationships.
Okay.
We're now only looking at the structure of your life.
Yeah, social networking.
Yes. So to speak. Same point, really. You can quite compare it to social networking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, commitment. Okay, commitment is very closely related to discipline. Okay, discipline is a point that you have resolved within yourself quite effectively, very much also due to your heritage. It's become a very natural point to be disciplined within yourself, your reality, in relation to structure, because that structure within your discipline has supported you immensely throughout your life in keeping you stable within your experience of yourself in reality. It's, again, just moving back to heritage, so you can be quite grateful in terms of that point.
I can see
Many
that,
people struggle with discipline.
I know.
But to you, it's very natural. It's just who you are. It's how you are.
Yeah.
Very
All
cool.
my life, yeah.
Yeah. Now, commitment is making a decision in relation to a point and then disciplining yourself in living that decision as you within your reality here. That's the definition of commitment in relation to what we're suggesting you look at. So basically, it's taking a decision, amalgamating it with discipline, living it, and there you have your basis of commitment.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, it's two facets. You've got your self-commitment, and you've got within that self-commitment, the living aspect thereof is your commitment to self in relation to, or you've got your direct point of living in terms of self-commitment, and then you've got your point of becoming in terms of the particular decision that you've made. For example, you've made a decision, you're living that decision. Even though that decision is not yet here, it is here as you. Yeah. You're then living that decision into existence within reality.
Yeah, living it out, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at, in terms of the decision, you've got your basic living principles, okay? Which is your self-honesty, your writing, your self-corrective application, and breathing. You've slightly, recently a bit fallen on the writing.
Yeah.
Self-honesty, still there, you just haven't lived it in quite an active way as much, because here on the farm, the environment is already, to a certain regard, quite natural.
Yes.
Yeah. However, within reality, you'll be facing and have to be standing a lot more clear within your self-honesty. For that, you require your writing, at least half an hour a day.
Yeah.
If not even that half an hour, 15 minutes. But keep that application of sitting and just writing, even if it's just one thought.
Oh, definitely. I mean, before, that's how I mainly walked my process, writing every day.
Yes.
Every single day.
Yes. And that's how you got to where and how you are now. Have you seen how it's assisted and supported you in internalizing the looking at points commonsensically without the emotional component interfering, where you can just immediately see, breathe, let go of the reactions, direct.
Yeah.
It's not a process of months, maybe a few days or a week.
Yeah.
There's still sometimes tinges of experiences that come up, but I mean, it's not like a point that completely made you fall.
No.
No. You realize it's fucking not worth it.
No.
Okay. So this point of decision you've already walked. You've already established your commitment in relation to this point, which is you're already living your decision in terms of the discipline of your application in relation to self-honesty, breath, writing, self-corrective application, wherein within that you are living yourself into your self-existence as equality and oneness. Okay? Yeah. That's in relation to self-commitment. Now let's look at self-commitment in relation to existence as a whole, is in terms of establishing the direction that you're going to be walking within your reality. Meaning you've got your certain point of where you want to end up in, a point where you can assist as many humans as possible.
Yes.
Okay. So what you require doing firstly is assessing practically how you're going to get there. Okay. So for example, within your studying that you're going to be finishing, correct? You've got that time.
Yeah.
to establish a timeline for yourself, so to speak. What I mean by timeline is assessing what would you require to get yourself into a position of where you want to be and being able to assist and support practically in reality as many humans as possible. What type of relationships do you require forming? What type of people have connections? Where? How do you access it? How do you get into that? What background knowledge, information, procedures do you require to follow to be able to attain such a point within reality? So from a certain perspective, walking in the matrix is a form of attaining goals.
Yeah.
So you have your long-term goals, so to speak, and you can have a look at how you can walk towards that point within all the other sub-points that require, so you can call it sub-goals that's required to be able to walk towards that goal.
Yeah.
The ladder, they
point.
call it the ladder of success, so to speak. But all you're doing is, it's like you're taking all your resources and you take them from back of you and you pull them in with you as you start walking and walking and walking, and you're gathering all your resources within you. So it's like kind of devouring reality in a way and getting yourself at this point of stance on your chair of royalty in reality where you have reached successfully your goal. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of while you're finishing studies, you've still got quite a while to prepare yourself sufficiently, and even within that already starting with your first point, which is your social networking.
Yes, definitely.
Be very interesting. Get to know people's backgrounds. Do their parents have connections? Things like that. Establish points. See what doors open within your world. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Assess every point critically in relation to your goal, and realize that they're access points and that you're walking this point not from a perspective of using them, but realizing that these beings are coming into your world and they are in your world, and you are able to assist and support yourself to get to that point to inevitably assist and support them.
Yeah, as well.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
They're stepping stones.
Yeah.
But within that, realize in terms of the relationship networks that you'll be establishing is, if you look at it from a future perspective, you'll be assisting and supporting them and maybe their children that they'll be producing and their children that they'll be producing and things like that. So always remember that context in which you're walking in relation to your relationships.
Cool.
See if you can gather as many matrix connections as possible.
Yeah.
Now use what is here to your advantage, so to speak. Not from a perspective of self-interest, but as they say, for the greater good. Okay. Just to get away that perception or belief or idea of using someone. That is an idea and a perception.
Yeah.
Meaning all relationships that you form, you are the directive principle, the directive point in relation to how that relationship is going to be and what both will benefit from it, so to speak. I mean, you can really take any person in terms of what you'll be meeting, and you'll realize that you're the central point that determine the experience and the assistance and support and the outflow of that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to abuse really, because the principle itself stands by itself.
Exactly.
One.
Yes. Any questions so far?
No.
Clear.
It's clear. Very clear.
Next point. Focus. Okay, what does focus mean in relation to this context that we are discussing? Okay, so again with your discipline platform, focus is also to a certain extent quite established, meaning when you decide to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
There are still occasions, however, where you're still wavering. Remember, we're not talking about the absolute sense here. So we're pushing you to the point of perfection. So if there's even the slightest wavering, we're going to let you know, like we're letting you know here now.
Yes.
The smallest points where your mind might go, veer off to, where you might doubt, be uncertain, base or formulate assumptions, ideas or perceptions of yourself and your reality is what we'll be mentioning here.
Yeah.
So, meaning after we're done, you can also go through the interview again and just listen to those points that seems seemingly insignificant, but are very important for you to take into account.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when walking the matrix or the world, because it's in the finer detail that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can be very good at doing that. You've done that within your artwork. You just haven't yet done that within yourself. The fine detail.
Interesting. Yeah, therefore I haven't actually like pinpointed it yet.
Pinpointed?
Like that point of those small details that I might be overlooking.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're gonna look at that later on as well. The detail, the finer details of yourself. And as well, once you're there and you're walking the world and you're having your experiences and things like that, even on chats, always be there as well, so that whatever experience you face and you have walked your support platform, but there's still movements inside yourself that you're not clearly seeing, that's where we'll assist and support you, because those are your unconscious mind movements. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you've also got your muscle communication as your support for the unconscious points to get them out. Unconscious always related to memory. So if there's, for example, a movement still within yourself about a particular point, it's really a slight movement, it moves like this. You've experienced yourself when you're absolutely stable. If you remember when you've made a decision in a moment, you decide on a point, and in that moment of decision, it's like everything else inside you disappears. It's like concrete inside yourself in terms of how
I stand as that point.
Certain you are, okay? Whenever that point is not so within yourself and you're experiencing like this movement about an action you require taking or a direction you require going into, or when you're contemplating or considering something, that's memory, movement. Then you can use your muscle communication, check what memory, is it an influence, is it something you've got to take into consideration, is it a replay of a cycle, what pattern am I facing again now, did I fall in the previous cycle or pattern, is there a point in the previous cycle or pattern that I missed that I can stand within in this one, because the matrix works in cycles and patterns. I mean, according to who and how you are, and I've constructed and lived your life together with the interplay of all the people in your reality, the matrix moves in cycles. So in essence, from a certain perspective, for a while, until the whole unconscious reality of the physical and all human beings have been removed, you'll find that there'll be particular cycles in your reality.
Yeah.
Because it's also taken into consideration the world system and the money system and that whole scenario.
Yes.
So this is talking big stuff, but what you require focusing on is whenever you feel this movement, you check the following points. Is it a cycle? Is it a pattern that's replaying itself within this point that you're facing now? And what memory is related to the cycle and or pattern? Is it a point you require facing? Is there something in your past that may assist and support you with this point that you're facing now? Various points you can take into consideration.
Okay.
But where do you want to be when you are deciding on an action or a direction? That point of absolute stability.
Yeah.
In that moment, meaning naturally it's not yet going to be like that all the time. But when you make a decision, what is your stability point in your standing in relation to that decision is when you're absolutely clear inside yourself. And you've experienced that clarity, so you've got a reference point for it.
Yeah.
But if that clarity is not there, you first make sure that that clarity is there.
Yeah.
Before you walk, because remember, always you want to get your self point sorted out first. You want to be able to stand no matter what. Because, I mean, if that point doesn't stand, isn't stable, in whatever decision made direction you go into, I'm talking on small decisions, directions. I mean, you've got your absolute direction, which is certain. I'm talking now momentary occurrences that happen spontaneously within your reality.
Yeah.
And those type of things. Always get your self point stable first. clear before
Yeah.
you engage into your reality or world. Within that, what is focus? Focus is your point, as we've said, closely related to discipline, but not too much, is your attention to detail. So you've got one aspect of focus down, meaning when you make a decision, you'll accordingly walk it.
Yeah.
Okay. However, now we've discussed what happens when you do make a decision and you walk it and there's still movement inside you.
Yeah.
So that point is clear. Now, however, focus in relation to attention to detail within yourself. Always remember in terms of what you're walking and who you are within your walking, no matter what you're facing. Because it can get to a certain extent quite tough within reality from the perspective of losing yourself within it all very easily.
Yeah.
It's like you're just kind of swept away for a moment. Don't judge yourself. Okay?
Quite important.
Yes. Don't be hard on yourself. It is going to happen and it is okay. Why? I mean, if you don't know how something is, how it works, or how it is experienced, how will you physically, practically know who you are within it? Makes sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you've got to experience it through years. What I'm saying is recognizing the gift within the experience of, for example, losing yourself for a moment within the experience of everything.